1,000 different types of uncomfortable. I ended up managing to ward him off after telling him very politely no, more than several times I might add. And all the while she's just laughing? I'm thinking, who are you even? So he leaves and I'm insisting now that I leave too and go home. She seems to ignore what I'm saying and gets very close to my face again and says,
Don't forget to hit subscribe and smack that bell button to become an honorary Fear Raiser member so that you never miss a video. Are you an iOS user that has been struggling to find that next new and exciting gaming app? Have you been unsuccessful in combating against your feelings of lethargy and boredom? Well, you can say bye-bye to all that boredom because, guys, in today's sponsor, I present to you a new, fun, and exciting game that is coming to the iOS called Crypto Trillionaire. Man, that's such an intense title. I love that. Crypto Trillionaire is a fun, new, idle-tapping game where you strive to make billions and billions of dollars so that you can become the first trillionaire in the world. Build an empire, earn rewards, and tap like no one has ever tapped before. And if you're excited to start playing this game, guys, Crypto Trillionaire will be launching globally January 31st. So be sure to download it and begin building your empire. Will you be the first trillionaire? It's a nice place, man.
Thank you.
Hockey fan, I see.
My dad is.
Oh. Well, guys, welcome back to another video. I still don't even know what to call this series. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments below on what you think I should dub this series. But of course, this is the series where we find a big, juicy story online. A big, juicy story. And we get it reanimated. We bring it to life and retell it to you guys, of course. So today we found a story that's, not gonna lie, it's thick. It's a thick story. We got a thick story for you here today. And before we get into it, as I'm sure you probably have guessed, this video is sponsored by Toronto Maple Leafs. Just kidding. If you're ever looking for a YouTuber, hit me up. Call me. This story is titled Tinder Date Nightmare by ShutUpUniverse.
So I had just gotten out of a pretty significant relationship with somebody of 4 years, nearly engaged and moving in together and everything, when things just kind of fell apart. It took a good amount of time of just being on my own and getting my stuff together again when my friends began encouraging me to just get back out there. Needless to say, I really wasn't wanting anything at that point, nor was I looking for anything. But they insisted that I at least go on a couple of few casual dates for just practice, I guess. And I guess to just kind of get my skills back to where they were when I was ready. I think they were honestly just worried about me because I had become quite a hermetic.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. You know, I myself was in a long relationship, and I honestly kind of followed the same guideline, if you want to call it that. You know, I just kind of took it easy and wasn't really looking for anything. So that's fair. That's fair. But allow me to continue.
So I matched with this girl who's home from college for the summer. She's a little out of the way for me, but she was eager to meet, and she seemed really interested. She was even willing to come to my area. I really wasn't all that interested, to be truthful, but my friends again encouraged this, you know, practice, whatever that means. A date doesn't mean commitment.
Okay, well, you're trying at least, and that is what matters, so you get brownie points for that, at least. I'm really hungry. Do we have brownies, Mark?
Whatever. I want to be very clear though, that I was extremely honest and explicit with her that I was not looking for anything serious, or anything really at all. I was very forthcoming that I had just gotten out of something serious, and I was just kind of encouraged to explore. She persisted that she still wanted to meet, so we agreed to a casual lunch in a sports bar that week. I get there, and she was already waiting for me. I was a bit put off by how much different she looked in her pictures. Not trying to sound shallow or anything, but her pictures from Tinder easily had to be at least 5 years old, which I verified based on the tattoos that she had in person, versus ones that she didn't have in the pictures. I wasn't the least bit attracted to her, but I was there just to have new experiences anyway, right? No big deal. I felt so bad because the entire time she seemed so incredibly shy and awkward. I even noticed that her hand was shaking when she reached for her glass, which I found endearing, honestly. So I did my best to get her talking and try to help her feel more relaxed. I asked her questions and chatted about things that I figured that you chat about on dates. Like where she grew up, what music she's into, school she goes to, major, all the boring stuff. All to which I literally received one-word answers. It went on like this for about an hour, and she was just not working with me at all. But I tried to keep room in my heart because it was clear that she was feeling anxious, and I understand that on a personal level. So then she pulls out this book and says, "I got this for you," and I responded very gratefully, thanking her and inquiring about what it was, because hey, if someone wants to share a good read with me, I'm all for that. She looks at me funny and she says all of a sudden in a very odd tone, "You're kidding, right?" I'm very confused and I just kind of look at her like, and she says, "This is your favorite book. You told me this was your favorite book."
Whoa, wait, hold up. So you go on this date, this is the first date ever, you barely know each other, it's through Tinder also, and she gets you a book? What?
To which I responded, "No, I've never even heard of this book before." So we concluded that she ultimately got me confused with somebody else that she must have been chatting with, which honestly I found hilarious. She was embarrassed, but I made light of it all and found it funny, because I get it. That's Tinder culture, I guess. So as we finish lunch, I'm still receiving one-word answers despite our funny moment. I kind of became a bit suggestive that we conclude our date by saying I had to get back to feed my animals and do some laundry and stuff like that. But she became very adamant on spending more time and asked if we could go do something else. I was genuinely trying to be a decent person, so I agreed, and we found a nearby park to walk to. That's when stuff gets really weird. We sat on a park bench, mind you, it's broad daylight. There's even kids playing basketball nearby and folks jogging by. I started trying to make conversation yet again, but I still get one-word answers. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, without any warning whatsoever, she proceeds to just kiss me aggressively, tongue and everything.
Whoa, wait! She did what? Wow, that's this chick is freaky. Okay, alright. You know what they say about the shy ones.
I was just honestly so shocked, I just stood there frozen, not knowing what the heck to do. I had this really timid, shy woman who's not really made much of a conversation with me at all, who was so nervous that she was visibly shaking, just turned into a freaking bear mauling my face in 0.6 seconds. My head was spinning with confusion and anxiety. I swear I felt like it lasted forever and I just prayed for it to stop. Like, what do you even do in that situation? I was just hoping that she'd pick up on my very obvious body language that I wasn't reciprocating anything at all. Then some really nasty guy walks by, gawking and catcalling, and literally begins propositioning us, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on? I need to get out of here right now.
Man, this is a really detailed story. Do we even have the budget to cover all this?
No.
I was 1,000 different types of uncomfortable. I ended up managing to ward him off after telling him very politely no, more than several times I might add. And all the while she's just laughing? I'm thinking, who are you even? So he leaves and I'm insisting now that I leave too and go home. She seems to ignore what I'm saying and gets very close to my face again and says, "Do you like that? Do you think I'm sexy? Do you want me?" When I tell you, I was so freaking nervous. I was like, "I really need to go home," and she was like, "Can I come?" I gave her a very firm no. She literally tried to persuade me to let her come back to my place with me, and I had to say no more than 3 times. So finally I'm home, and frankly I'm just kind of shaken up. I hadn't really done the dating thing in quite a long time, but that felt very abnormal.
No, not at all. That was quite normal. I mean, let's be real. Tinder is like that. You know, you go out on a date, you get mistaken for someone else, someone buys you a book, they get you a book to lend or whatever, and then, you know, they get freaky on you. That's, you know, honestly, pretty weird. That I don't really know what I'd do in that situation myself. Especially if I was like not into the date. I mean, that being said, like, you know.
She then texts me after she gets home and asks me out on a second date. I was very kind despite being made incredibly uncomfortable, and I told her that I thought she was a really cool chick and I had a nice time, which was a lie, but I didn't feel anything there. I reminded her I wasn't really looking for anything. Then she text-bombed me a bunch of crazy stuff, saying how she didn't understand and was so confused, and that she thought I was so into her and that things went great. I didn't respond to any of these because I figured now she's continuing to cross boundaries. I said what I needed to say, and I thought I was decent by at least being honest. So the text continued, and I figured they'd eventually stop because it was just a first date. How can someone be so upset over not reciprocating on a first date? They did not stop. By her text, you would have assumed that we just ended a 2-year relationship. Then she began calling me, at which point I just had to block her number. So Nightmare Tinder girl, please, for the love of everything, let's never, ever, ever, ever meet again.
Wow. Wow. That's a crazy story. Like, I mean, first of all, ShutUpUniverse, fantastic storytelling job, okay? Like, can I offer you a position here? Do you want to tell stories? Hop on over, send me a little application, you know what I'm saying? But no, real talk though, that was a great story. I feel for you, I can't talk from personal experience now. I too, though, am lesbian.
It was then Jordan realized he was a moron.
Tinder's really awkward. I think a lot of us can vouch for that, especially since it's the norm nowadays. Online dating has kind of really led many people astray or down a path of meeting some crazies. I myself have been down that path, as I'm sure a lot of you know, and sometimes it just leads to a very, very unfortunate situation. But needless to say, you got out of there fine and safe, a little shook, as you should be. But either way, thank you again, ShutUpUniverse. That was an incredible story, and I was very happy to retell it to everybody. And now your story is known. I don't even know if you want it. Well, you put it on Reddit, so I'm assuming you wanted people to know about it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video here today. If you want to see more crazy stories like this one, a retelling of stories, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Leave a like. Did I say that already? Also, while I'm at it, Mark, you want to just come over real quick, if you want to just come over real quick. If you're interested in some Fear Razor merch, Mark's got the beanie here.
It's quite comfortable.
Can we get a check it out? Embroidery, very nice. It's on CrowdMade shop. Link down in the description below. If you want to hook yourself up with some. What did you think of that story, Mark?
What did I think of this, Jordan? I liked it.
Direct it to the mic. Talk to the cat. Don't. But thank you so much for watching. Any final words, Mark?
Make your stories juicy.
Make the stories juicy, guys. If you want your story to potentially get animated here, make them juicy. And of course, submit them to the Razorverse Reddit page. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Peace out.
Peace.
Bye.